Welcome to the lesson plan video for black and white dots problem. As you can see, this is a visual pattern recognition problem for level 2 students, and it's also essentially a way for our students to come up with the proof with the total of numbers 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on. Now let's see what is the big problem that we have here. The big problem is how can you find the number of black dots for any figure number? Let's now move into the agenda. We'll skim through the agenda, requesting all of you to pause here and go through each section and its description. Let's move to the first section. In the notice and wonder routine, the students will be observing the pattern and making note of anything they see or any question they have. And we conclude the notice and wonder routine by pausing the big problem. After that, the students extend the pattern to figure 4, which they will verbally and visually describe. And in the next 13 minutes, the students are introduced to a new skill, which is to organize the information. And after that, students are going to predict for figure 7 and they will verify their prediction as well. Once the prediction for figure 7 is done, we move into solving our big problem, which is to generalize or predict for the number of black dots for any figure number. And lastly, we have a closing where we do a reflection of what we have learned in the lesson. So now let's move into our lesson. As I mentioned, the first section we have is a notice and wonder routine, where the students are going to observe these images and they'll be answering 2 questions. So write down 3 things that they notice and any one question that they might have here. And this is how the time division looks like for notice and wonder routine. A few things to keep in mind when you're doing this notice and wonder routine. Take a pause and go through each of these pointers. And by the end of the routine, we establish that the pattern is growing by in every figure and every figure is in a rectangular shape. Once we have established this, we pause our big problem, which is to predict for the number of black dots for any figure number. Here we introduce the students to a problem solving strategy, solving a simpler problem first. And for that, we are going to extend the pattern to figure number 4. To extend the pattern to figure 4, we have a total of 5 minutes and it's a super quick activity. The students are going to work in their pairs where they will actually draw figure 4 in their handout and they will discuss with their partner and describe how did they come up with the figure number 4. Yeah. And once the students have discussed this, we move into introducing our students to a new skill, which is to organize the information. To organize the information, we have a total of 13 minutes here. The students are going to work in their pairs where they are going to fill this table which is already provided in their handout. Let them work with that. Meanwhile, when the students are working to fill this table, ensure that you are also setting the board with this table. And once the students have completed the table, as a student, if they notice anything here, any pattern coming up or any similarities between the numbers, etc. And once the pair work time is done, we move into large group sharing where we ask the students if there are answers which are different from what is there on the board. And if there are different answers, encourage them to discuss with other friends and come to an agreement here. And once we have organized this information, we are moving on to predict for figure number 7. And we have total of 7 minutes here. Students are going to work in their pairs where they predict for figure 7. Now, when they are predicting, remind them what actually prediction means. Prediction does not involve drawing. Yeah. And once they have come up with a prediction for the number of black dots in figure number 7, ask them to verify their prediction here. While they are verifying, they can actually draw and verify their prediction here. Yeah. And come up with the prediction for figure number 7, they must have used different strategies. We will also discuss a few strategies our students might come up with in the slides ahead. Now, let's move into our big problem, which is to generalize for the number of black dots in any figure number. And we have a total of 13 minutes here. We give them instructions and the students are going to work in their pairs to come up with the number of black dots here for any figure number. So here we can ask the students to predict the number of black dots here and let them work with the different strategies they have used in the previous section. After that, we do a large group sharing in the next 7 minutes where we ask the students to share the different predictions and also share the strategies which they have used to predict here. Now we are also going to discuss a few strategies our students might come up with. Let's see what they are. So the first strategy, as you might know, is a recursive reasoning strategy. The students are going to share that total number of black dots in any figure is actually equal to the sum of the total number of black dots in the previous figure plus the figure number. Let's take for example, if we look here, figure 5 has 15 black dots, and when if we have to find out for figure number 6, then we add 15 plus the figure number which is 6, and that brings us to the total of 21 black dots. This is one method the students are going to come up with. Let's see another method now. In this strategy, the students see the figure as a rectangle, which we had previously established in our notice and wonder routine. And based on that, they will actually come up with a total number of dots in one rectangle or one figure. And for that, they will first multiply the number of rows by number of columns to get the total number of dots. Now, when they have the total number of dots, they know that the number of black dots is half the total number of dots. That's why they are going to divide the total number of dots by 2 to get the total number of black dots here. So let's take the example of figure 5 here. Figure 5 has 5 rows and 6 columns, and they will multiply both 5 and 6 to come up with the total number of dots. And then they divide it because they know that the number of black dots is half of the total number of dots. When they divide the product of 6 and 5 by 2, that is 30 by 2, they get the answer as 15, which is actually true for the number of black dots in figure number 5. So this is another strategy as students might observe and come up with. There are other strategies as well. In the interest of time, we will not be discussing them. Please do check out the teacher reference for other strategies. So with that, we have solved our big problem using different strategies. Now we move into the closing for the next 10 minutes. In the first 5 minutes, we ask our students to discuss and recap the process with their partners. And once they have discussed it in the first 3 minutes, we use the cold calling technique to call few students and make a list of the steps involved in our lesson. 5 minutes, the students are going to individually reflect on a reflection question. Do refer to the student handout to know what is the reflection question here. And once the students have answered the reflection question, if we have time, ask the students to talk to their partner about what they have answered here. So with that, we have come to the end of the black and white dots problem. We really hope that all of you enjoy this lesson with your students. Do click pictures and share with us. Have fun. Bye bye.